Hey guys, what's up? Welcome to the latest edition of the Radcast, Open Mic Edition. I think it's number 2. I'm joined by my good friend and digital marketing manager, digital media manager, digital marketing manager, talented actor extraordinaire, Josh Hill.
Hello, hello.
And of course the lovely Reiley Clark.
Hello, thank you.
Producer of the Radcast and also multi-talented. We like talented people here.
Yes, obviously, yes. That's all we have here.
I know. Hey, Merry Christmas week to everyone.
Yes, Merry Christmas week.
Yeah, it is. It's here. 3 days from now.
Christmas Eve.
Christmas Eve. I'm not sure when this will release, but will it go out before Christmas?
It'll go Christmas Eve.
Okay, Christmas Eve. So Merry Christmas Eve to everyone listening, and
Yes.
Merry Christmas week to all of us here at Radical. It's getting cool and cold outside. They might even be calling for snow, potentially late Thursday night, as Santa's sleigh is rounding about into Greenville.
I might have my second white Christmas.
Yes. So we'll see. It's South Carolina doesn't get much snow at all, much less on Christmas. So fingers crossed, that'd be nice.
I'm kind of used to snow, if I'm being honest. I've been like having a love-hate relationship with the weather, because normally I'm like used to cold weather, and I'm used to snow being on the ground in some capacity, and so I'm kind of like, okay, so there's snow.
That's why it just gets, you get 4 seasons here.
But then
So
I'm
it gets
like,
cold, but you don't get much
but I'm
snow.
also like, I love the warm weather. Like, I like the fact it's going to be 61 today. Like, that's,
I know. That's the irony.
and
is
like, complain.
a few days before Christmas, it'll be 61, and then
Exactly.
wake up Christmas morning, and I think the high is 38 or something. So, like, people think it doesn't get cold in South Carolina. It gets cold.
Yeah.
You just don't get much frozen precipitation.
It's only cold from like 8 to 8.
Exactly.
Everyone geared up, ready for Christmas?
Mostly.
Mostly.
Yeah, pretty much there.
Presents bought. Good tidings of joy sent to all.
Yeah. All my presents are on. Just got a couple little toys for the small nephews. Couple Christmas cards to get, but otherwise I'm set.
Cool.
Yeah.
You, Riley?
I'm I'm on top of it, but it's like my family in West Virginia, like I sent them stuff, and then like my family in Atlanta, I sent them, I'm going down to Atlanta for Christmas though, so I would like give them their stuff, but it's weird like doing like everyone's doing their own kind of thing. It's like that weird part of growing up when you realize that like you all are gonna start doing your own thing.
Oh, yeah.
And your own Christmases, it's like that reality kind of has hit.
I know, like, for me, it's been interesting. So, growing up, we always went to my grandmother's, that have all passed now. But my mom's mom and my dad's mom is very similar. They grew up in Greenville, and, we'd go to their houses Christmas. I think one was Christmas Eve, and one was Christmas Day, and we might be reversing that. And we always did that.
Right.
And now we go to my mom's, who's now my kid's grandmother.
Right.
So we do that, but Christmas Day, and even Thanksgiving Day sometimes, we've kind of taken back over a little bit to where the kids are hosting more, or the kids being, in this instance, like myself or my sister or something like that.
Right.
We kind of, I don't want to say that family isn't as, it seems to be more condensed than it used to be growing up. It was like cousins, and not just like in a COVID year, I'm talking like anytime, like the last few years. And I don't know if that's a sign of the times or just a sign of my family.
I feel like I don't know, Josh, do you like
It's on and off for our family. Like sometimes we'll have like extended cousins, like both sets of grandparents together, like probably every like 5 years. But then like there's these in between ones where it's just like my immediate family and then my aunts and uncles or stuff. stuff are doing their own thing elsewhere. It's kind of we're kind of like hit or miss.
And I don't know if it's a good thing or a bad thing. In some ways, I feel closer, and you reserve more time for your immediate family.
Mm-hmm.
But then you do feel this little bit of disconnect when you see a cousin that, growing up, I saw them at least 3 or 4 times a year.
Yeah.
And now it's like once every 2 years.
Right.
And so I don't know. That's been a change. I don't think.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's the what do they say, the erosion of family that's going on, or if it's more the immediate family getting, and holding on to traditions and having a tighter tradition.
Like
nuclear family, like, because we found the balance. Like, going to my mom's, who's in Colombia, we did that this past weekend. It was great, and we had a good time, and we wouldn't change that.
Mm-hmm.
But I've gotten to where I'm a little selfish with my family's time around the definitive holiday itself.
Okay.
Like, I'm fine. If my mom and dad want to come and see the kids, but I don't like, because I remember growing up, I'd wake up, open all my gifts, all I want to do is play with them. And we're piling into the car to go somewhere all day, on the holiday itself.
Yeah.
And, like, I'm kind of, I don't know if it's that or just everyone's doing this more, but, like, I'm being more selfish with our families. So, like, mom and dad, the grandparents, they can come to us, on Christmas Day.
Right.
Like, if you want to come see what the kids got, because they're going to enjoy it, and we're going to chill, we'd love to have you. More the merrier. Like, it's not that I don't want anyone to come.
No, absolutely.
But we're going to kind of hold on to our traditions and not be rushing somewhere the day of.
Right. No, we were kind of like that growing up, too. I mean, we would always go to my grandparents, and then, but it was the same thing. Like, you'd wake up, do the Christmas, do the presents and everything, and then, we would do the same thing. We'd get in the car, and then, like, immediately go to our grandparents, and half the stuff, we could bring one thing with us, but, like, half the stuff is still at the house, and you're like, okay, well, like, when do I get to go back and play with this, and, like, you're going to your grandparents, and you have the whole thing there, which, like, it's awesome, but, like, it's funny that, like, it can just change, and, I mean, I remember my mom and dad, they were selfish for a while. Like, they kind of got to the point where they're like, okay, yeah, you guys can come to us now. Like, it was kind of the same thing. So I feel like that's almost, I don't know, I felt like that was kind of a theme I saw even with some of, like, our cousins and stuff. We saw that kind of stuff, too. But it was, that was just kind of, like, our system of doing it. But now it's just different because now my sister's married and she's in Utah. And then, again, my dad's in Atlanta, and then my mom and brother are in West Virginia. So now we're even, like, all spread out.
Yeah, spread out.
Yeah, and I'm obviously in South Carolina, so, it's all the extra.
What are you doing Christmas Day?
Christmas Day, I'll be in Atlanta with my dad and his wife, and, my stepmom. Yeah, so.
There you go. Josh, should be with your parents?
Yeah, just family in town.
There you go. That's cool.
Keep it simple.
Yeah.
I will say, like, jumping ahead here a little bit, I did see a commercial, we'll bring it back to marketing for a second. We got personal there for a minute, but did y'all see the Christmas Vacation spoof by Ford, Chevy Chase and family?
No.
That was good.
Oh yeah, they reenacted the entire kind of the lighting of the outside lights.
I love that
With
scene.
Chevy Chase and a lot of the actors from the movie,
I love that
and
scene.
the notion being the electric car, powering it all.
Nice.
Yeah. So.
Good commercial.
Yeah, well, I enjoyed it.
Yeah.
As a definitive lifelong Chevy Chase fan.
Yeah. Big nostalgia hit right there.
Yes, it was good timing. So
That's part of our family tradition is the Christmas Vacation viewing.
have you watched it yet this year?
Not yet.
Oh,
See,
yeah.
it's been on AMC or something. I've already caught it like 3 times.
Yeah.
But I can, I'll watch Christmas Story the day. We're Christmas Story the day of. Like, I haven't watched that yet. I'll keep that sacred until like Christmas Day. Maybe Christmas Eve if we're home, or I think we go to our in-laws for some part of Christmas Eve. But we'll see. But that one I keep sacred until like Christmas Eve, Christmas Day, because I'm gonna watch it like 5 times. It replays on TBS over and over again.
That's
Whatever.
funny. Yeah.
And
I
for
do
you
the same.
streamers, it's readily available. But
Right.
that's the one part of
I was
like
about to say.
there's like 5 parts of linear TV that hold true. Sports, some news that's fading fast for me too, and then like stuff like annual specials, like we'll catch it, but it's definitely not worth the $80 a month or whatever I'm spending on it. So it's like on my January. Like January, I'm cutting like it's not. I'm not a resolutions guy. Like I'm motivated. I like to think I'm motivated all the time to just get done what needs to get done. But January, I do have like, how many services do I need to cut that I'm not paying for?
Right.
I think I have 7 gym memberships. I'm like, this is out of control. Some of them don't even live in town anymore. Like, I think I still have a New York one. I think I still have a New York City membership from like 6 years ago. It's like really cheap or something. But it's like,
just say you have it.
besides, you never know. I think I convinced myself every time I looked at, you might go back. It's not that much. I'm like, what are you doing?
I don't even have a gym membership.
Yeah, I have a commercial gym in our loft building.
That's what, like, at my apartment, I basically just have a gym. Like, if I need to go to the gym, it can just be right there. You know what I mean? Like, but it's funny how
My gym's not open at the apartment. It's too new. But I've never actually had cable my whole life. Never.
Your whole life?
No.
Wow.
Like, even growing up?
Yeah.
Do you have the rabbit ears? Or just,
Yeah. We had rabbit ears, and then we switched to the digital antenna. That was fun. And then that was it.
yeah.
Just watched movies, play with games.
That is
I'm definitely a child of cable. Like,
yeah.
First, I mean, like, once I went to like middle school, high school, it was just like YouTube was my life.
yeah. Well, that's my kid's life now. That's all I watch. I mean, YouTube Kids is like, I don't know how many hours a week. It's just, it's all at downtime. And yes, they play outside. We're not that famous.
Yeah.
But when they're having their downtime,
Yeah.
our 4-year-old's watching YouTube Kids.
Yeah.
And he's doing voice search for everything.
That's fun.
He goes, RC monster trucks, or Ryan toy openings. You know, the kid Ryan that opens all the toys or whatever it is, like toy exchange. I don't know what it is.
That kid has so much money.
Yeah, I know. Multi-millionaire. Well, we're helping his views. Let me tell you, the Alford family is contributing at least $7 a week to his bottom line. I mean, with all the video views. So, what do they get? Like a few cents a view or something? I don't know, but it adds up when you get 50 billion views that kid's gotten.
Oh, my gosh, yeah.
That kid's going to be like when he's like 20.
Oh, no.
He's either going to be like brilliant and like a scientist, or he's going to be washed up and like in rehab. I mean, let's be honest.
We're gonna have there's gonna be a new a generation wave of like kids that were like young influencers and young like social media stars that are then gonna be like, you're gonna just see where they're at in like 10 years and be like, huh, what if
I think we have enough decades of like Disney child actors to know that like if you're the parents of like a famous kid, like get them in therapy ASAP.
right now.
He should be in therapy right now.
However much it costs, do it. It's gonna be worth it.
Yeah. I had I had a nice sugar cookie. It felt very, Christmassy.
Yeah.
Caitlin on our team made some delicious sugar cookies, and I'm having my first cup of coffee here in 8 months.
Yeah.
So I'm an energy drink guy, and, it is. I don't have too many vices, but I know it's a vice, and I know it's not healthy, but it's like, and I give up a lot of other things, and so just fuck off with if you don't like my energy drinks, but that's how I really feel about it. But I am having a delicious cup of coffee here.
I do like how you're not like a big sweets guy, and then you're not a big coffee guy, but you decided somehow to combine them into one drink.
Yes.
Exactly, yeah.
Yes.
You're like, I'll do it at the same time.
I'm doing them both.
Caffeine and sweet drinks.
Yes. But see, like, you can't be, like, I'm that guy. I work out. I watch what I eat a lot of the times. But, like, you have to give yourself these moments. Like, I don't sweat on the holiday weeks. Like, I just don't it's got to be a lifestyle. And so I don't have to, like if I want to eat 4,000 calories a day the week of Christmas or the week of Thanksgiving, it's fine.
Right.
And I don't like, oh, God, how many calories? I just enjoy it. And then, because I know I'll be right back on the wagon, next week.
Yeah.
But I'll work, but subconsciously I'll work out like 30 minutes longer every day this week probably. Not because I'm like counting the calories, but like weirdly enough, you start eating more, and like if I eat like a bunch of sweets, sometimes I get my best workout in because I actually have like stored up carbs that I wouldn't normally have. Like, it's like at least I convince myself of that.
Yeah.
So.
Like extra sugar to get the kick in.
Maybe. I mean, sometimes it's like it's one or the other. Sugar, these carbs are getting in. I'm like, yes. This morning I had a home while she was going through that, and Ray had gotten a full ride to Clemson football and played football at safety at Clemson.
I'm guessing it's a true story, right?
Yeah, totally true.
Okay.
And this was like 15 years ago.
Okay.
He ended up being like Oprah Winfrey and stuff, but his 11-year-old brother moved with him secretly into the dorms. And he was hiding him for a while, but then the university found out about it, and they supported him, and he got a waiver from the NCAA to let it happen. So he was taking care of his brother while also going to school and going to class. So true story, really good. It was like a commercial for Clemson though, because being a Clemson grad and a Clemson fan, I enjoyed it.
You know what? Not at all.
I was like such a proud. My wife's like crying next to me, like we're in the theater room, and like the boys are like high fiving, and like it was a real feel good movie. Nicole's like bawling next to me, and I'm
See,
like,
that's what I was about to say. Where are the tissues?
but it was actually, I will say this, like, look, I have a potty mouth half the time, and definitely not around my kids, but so I'm not like sitting on a soapbox saying this, but no curse words, no sex, but with a very enjoyable movie.
Yeah.
And so like watching with my kids, I'm like, they can still make movies like this and be appropriate for kids and adults, and everybody feel good about it. And yeah, I was a Clemson fan, and that helped. That's a feel good movie, even if you didn't like or know Clemson.
Right.
Though I was sitting there going, man, how many more recruits are we going to get from this movie? I hope Clemson's sending it around to all their recruits they're talking to.
What school is that, kids?
No, really good movie. Good job by Disney. The acting was good. It was definitely the cheese moments here and there, like any Disney movie. But I was thoroughly entertained. And so I highly recommend Safety. And so that was good last night. Any good video watching from you guys? What number we were talking about some TikTok videos before we started the episode.
We were talking about TikTok videos. Gosh, I feel like you have a few on your mind. I can just like see it.
Well, like my TikTok is like.
Yeah, what is your TikTok feed?
My feed it's a mess. I mean, there's the standard journey of the TikTok user. These are nicknames that have been created by TikTok people about where you are in your algorithmic journey. You always start off on straight TikTok. Then you'll probably find your way into like cooking TikTok or like some kind of weird hobby TikTok, maybe dancing.
Yeah.
That's all part of like the straight TikTok. And
The
then you
dancing
move on.
TikTok's definitely in my feed.
Yeah.
Like it's girls and guys. Like it's all dancing.
You spend enough time in there, then you start getting into your alternative TikTok. This is where people call it either bi TikTok or like alt TikTok.
Weird talk is what it should be called.
And then you get into then you can get into the even more like niche things. But now I'm like, it'll be someone just like pouring spaghetti on their face, and then that's it. Or it's just like really like peaceful music, and then like something's on fire. It's all just it's just all surrealist absurdism. It's beautiful. It is endlessly entertaining, and some of the ones just sit in the back of my head and just play.
Rent free.
Yeah, rent free. And it brings me joy.
Is it the and I do watch a fair amount of it now. It's gotten into my it's slowly creeping into my consumption pattern here of media. But is it a sign of the ADDism of the times, or is it deeper and wider than that?
I think both.
Okay.
I mean, it's fun to just have the complete control over like the entertainment, and it's like you don't have to be as patient as you do with like a movie or even a show. Like, sometimes like if I'm spending a lot of time on TikTok, I'll like watch a 20-minute episode, and I'm like, this is taking forever.
Yeah.
But I think it's fun to
I'm
like.
finding myself doing that. I'm like, all right, get to the point. All right. The ones that like get to it, I'm like, okay, all right, that's either funny or informing or whatever. And there's ones where they're trying real hard. And I'm like,
I would
swipe up.
Now like it's like, I mean, hilarious like random stuff that is no context, no meaning, no anything, and then it will be copywriting tips, and then it's like a Pyrex collector talking about a piece that someone found, and then it's back to the random stuff.
We did need to get our, I think our ad gab clips on mine or Radicals TikTok. See how it goes. I mean, they're short. I mean, and they're informative. So,
There's got to be some parallel here of like it's easier to eat like a bag of chips like over and over than it is to like go cook a full meal and
I do love cooking TikTok, even though I am not a cook. Like, I just send it to my boyfriend. I'm like, oh, here's an idea. Here we go.
You can make this one next time.
I'm like, this sounds awesome. I'm like, do you have the ingredients for this? I
I'm
love.
gonna check on him after this.
right, give him a call. No, I love cooking TikTok. Gay TikTok cracks me up. Couple TikTok, love couple TikTok. And then I love just the random hobbies, to your point, like, and Harry Potter TikTok. I have to talk about Harry Potter TikTok because Harry Potter TikTok is where it's at. It gives me a lot of joy, and there's just so many just insightful jokes. Are you a Harry Potter person?
I have a confession.
Stop. Oh, no.
I haven't read a single page or watched a single movie of Harry Potter ever. And look, this is going to be even stranger. I like sci-fi. I like wizardry type stuff, like, but never a page of the book or a second of a movie. I'm probably one of, like, there's probably, what is that, like 5% of America?
I feel like it's more.
How many people?
I didn't watch.
Is it really?
I didn't watch them all until college.
It was on my radar. How could it not be on your radar during that whole, and it was still popular, but during the craze of it all. Like, it was on my radar, and I was just kind of annoyed by it. I think it was a stage, I don't remember how old I was at that time, but I think it was like that's too like a little juvenile-ish or like silly or something. I might have been like early mid-20s, like when the first one maybe. I don't know. But it's been 20 years since the first one, 15 years.
Pretty much. Yeah.
So yeah.
Kind of old now, but I'm a Lord of the Rings guy through and through.
See, I like Lord of the Rings.
This is
I did enjoy that. Read all the books when I was younger, and then all the movies were great. So and so I felt like that was, at least on the surface, having not watched any Harry Potter, I can't say this, seemed more serious, maybe? Is that a fair assessment?
Wait. Re-ask.
You're
Re-ask.
completely biased here.
Yes.
Wait, re-ask the question.
I felt like I no more I read the books, because those were part of reading growing up, the Lord of the Rings books from in my education. So I had that reference versus Harry Potter, so I admit that might have started the bias. But then when the movies came out, and they were around the same time frame, I don't know the order, but I was like, the Lord of the Rings just seemed more, obviously it's all make-believe, it's all fantasy, but it seemed more serious.
Well, I think the reason why is because obviously Harry Potter is following 3 students throughout their time in like primary school, basically through college age, like essentially. And so like obviously you do have the juvenile sense of like growing up, like incorporated in the movies, where I feel like Lord of the Rings, you're pretty much dealing with pretty much mature adult, like adult-ish, elvish, or whatever it is, like, but I feel like you're dealing with just like a different kind of character development, and I like Harry Potter because I felt like it also brought in, obviously you have Dumbledore, you have Hagrid, you have like, the older adults that are still inserting their own opinion and, their own character developments throughout the movies, but I don't know what it's just something about Harry Potter that's just like, if I don't, like when it comes out every July around the 31st, because that's like Harry Potter's birthday or whatever, like normally they play like the series like on channels, and so I feel like I'm like, oh yes, like, and Christmas without or like Christmas or Halloween without a Harry Potter marathon just doesn't feel right.
I get the feeling that like Harry Potter's like, it feels more franchisey than Lord of the Rings did. I feel like it's the similar thing as like a Marvel movie
No.
couldn't get.
I didn't either,
something
but I
couldn't
could
do.
tell I wouldn't have liked it.
Right.
And sure enough, the reviews from the people that I actually trust the reviews were like, pass.
Yeah. My movie expert friends, shout out to you guys. They were like, yeah, don't even watch it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it seemed rough. But I feel like I mean, are there like we're talking about movies, we're in the holiday swing. Like would be your ranking of holiday movies? Like if we had to go through the typical list, right? If we're throwing Elf in there, Polar Express, Die Hard, It's a Wonderful
Somehow a
Life.
Christmas movie.
Yeah, right.
Harry Potter too,
Which
apparently.
we Josh and I admitted pre-show that we actually never seen Die Hard.
Yeah, right. Well,
Never seen Die Hard.
it's a classic.
but, you know.
It got formulaic as well,
I
but
think the Star Wars Christmas specials up there.
yeah, right.
But what's your ranking of them?
First for me, like, I have a tie.
Yeah?
It would be because for different reasons.
Okay.
It's Christmas. Look,
Yeah, break
Chevy
it down,
Chase
break
is
it
my
down.
all-time favorite actor. Like especially 80s, 90s Chevy Chase.
Yeah.
You know, and I'm appreciative of even stuff he's done more recent in his older years. He's gotten a little more, like he tried too hard, I think, late 90s, early 2000s. It got like a little, I don't know what happened to him. Like he was trying to be the character instead of just being the character the way he was in Caddyshack and Fletch. And like Fletch and Fletch Lives are like my two favorite movies ever.
Right.
Silly humor that I miss. I don't know why we can't make movies like that anymore. I digress on that. But so Christmas Vacation for humor, for probably Chevy's last movie where he played that character, and I felt like he really didn't have to try too hard, like he just was natural. But then A Christmas Story for the more sentimental child in us, it was still funny and entertaining.
Yeah.
And so like it's like Christmas Eve, I want Christmas Vacation. Christmas Day, I want Christmas Story. And I know it's like 1A, 1B for me.
I
I
love
get that.
I love Christmas Vacation, and it's kind of like spot 1 or 2 for me. But I think How the Grinch Stole Christmas is my top with Jim Carrey.
Okay.
Love him because I feel like it checks all the boxes. Like it has the little sentimental, sweet moments, and then it has the funny, and then it has a star character. I might would put that slightly above Christmas Vacation. But
Oh, God.
it's very close.
Where's the shotgun?
It's very close.
That was me when you said you hadn't seen Harry Potter. Oh my gosh.
I mean,
Well, no, it's not to shoot Josh, it's to shoot myself. For hearing that.
I'm here to cause pain.
That's the most product of being a 20-something-year-old I've ever heard Josh say, is the Grinch Stole Christmas. Being the top movie ever. Oh. For
There's
Christmas.
some classic lines.
It's not, and I like the movie. I really do. So and I love Jim Carrey. So like I do, but just to even remotely put it above Christmas Vacation is hurting my heart. You could have put like 3 other. I can even understand Elf over it. Like Elf, I enjoyed quite a bit. We watched that the other night.
I would put Elf. I would put Elf under it. I still like Elf. Elf and Polar Express were probably my next 2 slots right
For sure.
there.
For sure.
But
Yeah.
I mean, it's making me.
Where does Christmas Story rank?
The Malcolm in the middle like meme of like the future is now, man.
Yeah, right. Yes, I know.
Christmas Story. I honestly did not see that until probably 2017. Like
Okay.
I was like in college.
And now that you've seen it probably several times.
Once. I only watched it once. Yeah. It didn't become a.
Okay.
It was never a family thing. It never became a thing after I watched it.
You need to rewatch it this year.
This is
That's your job.
that's your second bullet in your second casing of the shotgun. I'm pretty sure about
I
that.
know.
That's
Oh,
nice.
so good.
So-
Oh, get ready for my list then. You ready for this?
I think.
Okay, here we go.
Are you ready for this? Okay, I would.
Where's the tranquilizer?
Not in this room. No, I'm just kidding. I would say these would be like my top 5. Like Polar Express, A Christmas Carol with Jim Carrey. That was so well done.
man.
That was so good. Christmas Vacation, and then
What was number 1?
I feel like these are all like my
Okay, they're just top.
like they're kind of my top.
That unlocks
It's
another
really
one.
hard to
The
like.
Muppet Christmas Carol.
That's Muppet Adventure or whatever that was.
Muppet Caper.
Caper. Oh my God, one of my favorites.
And then Muppets Take Manhattan was also really
Yes,
good.
I really liked it quite a bit. But I mean, now it's also a product of Sesame Street and all that stuff. Yeah, which is all in the same vein. Like
The greats. Gotta study the greats.
Fraggle Rock.
Yeah.
Anyone?
Oh, yeah.
You remember Fraggle Rock?
That was a regular renting for me at Movie Gallery.
That was an HBO original, I believe, or it started out on HBO. It was like the first time we started getting, like, we had cable and we started getting HBO. It was like Fraggle Rock was on, and it was like, oh yeah, best kids show ever on a premium movie channel.
Yes. Down with Fraggle Rock.
Down with Fraggle Rock.
This is so not where I'm.
We ventured way off. Right, back to
we left you in the best gift.
I am gone. I'm.
You need to Google Fraggle Rock.
Oh, hey,
Later today.
Hey guys, anyway, we can go back to the TikTok conversation.
Yeah, right.
I love Ting Tongs.
Yeah, Ting Tong.
TikToks. No, I'm just messing around. No, but I mean, I think these are good Christmas
How about
movies.
Christmas Story? Is that on? Is it in yours, or is it like Josh and you've watched it once?
I haven't even watched it.
Oh my God! Shoot me now! What the hell is going on around here? Our listeners that are probably closer to my age are going, "What in the world is happening on the Radcast?"
See, this is how I feel about Harry Potter. Like, I would still come back to this now that I know this fact about you. I'm going to say this all the time now, but you haven't watched
It's like
it.
a kid and he gets a BB gun and then they eat a duck and then it's like a light lamp. And it's Christmas.
Well, I know the legend.
Doesn't that sound amazing?
It's like one of my
That
best,
sounds like TikTok before it was TikTok.
one of my best friends doesn't like Lord of the Rings. He's like, the second movie is just talking trees.
That's funny.
There's some truth to that.
That's funny.
He's wrong. You're wrong, Gabe.
But look, Christmas Story is the age old when you're a kid and you want, like, whether it's the BB gun that he wanted, but like you want this gift, and if you can relate, and you grow up, and like he wanted the Red Ryder BB gun, and he obsessed about it, and he was trying to tell his parents he thought he would shoot his eye out and like all this stuff, like, and he wouldn't think he was going to get it, so he's dropping all these hints, and then there's the humor of just the time period. They have a bully at school. They have the strangeness of school in the 50s or 60s when this is all taking place. But it's more the nostalgia of growing up. We all had that gift we wanted at a certain age when we really were into Christmas, like between the years of, I don't know, 8 and 12 years old, somewhere in there, depending on who you are.
Just those 4 years?
I'm just saying, like,
No,
who knows? I mean, some kids, like, grow up faster than others,
Right.
But you have this gift you really want, and your drop it hits, and you're obsessed about it. Like, you are waiting for Christmas because you want to get this gift. I think there's that insight, then just the time period stuff for that, and then the zaniness of the dad, who's, like, way too old to have kids this age. Like, I remember the actor, he seems like 58 years old, and he's got, a 12-year-old and a 6-year-old. And it's like, he started late in life. But nonetheless, for someone in the 50s, they normally had kids, and they're like, what, 23 years old or something?
Yikes.
And so the nostalgia of all that, and then his dad and the leg lamp. Major award is what it was called. He thought he won a major award, and comes in this big box that says fragile on it, and he says it's fragile. It must be Italian.
Can I be really embarrassed and just admit that before you started explaining it, I almost was like, oh, this must be that movie about the Christmas shoes. No, that's
definitely
a
not.
completely different movie in of itself, right? That's the one where the mom's sick and the boy wants to, right, and he goes and buys
Is it like a song?
I think it is also
So
a
I
song.
wanna buy these shoes.
Yes, yeah, no, right, okay. So two
And
completely different
just
things.
to close out my thoughts on this, Die Hard was good in its day. It became very formulaic. The first one was very good. I remember liking it. It always came out during Christmas. Now a lot of blockbusters before this year, obviously, were coming out at Christmas time. The new Star Wars movies have been releasing at Christmas time and stuff. But
just kind of like upcoming that are, I just think entertaining to like mention. I mean, I think it's entertaining to mention Kylie Jenner was confronted for wearing fur by a bunch of fur activists in Beverly Hills. That's just, celebrity drama, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
There's other like events going on and things like that. But I mean, that's just kind of like the rest of the stuff that's, I just think, funny circulating around. It's
Well, it's funny to me, like, and I have no issue with the Jenners and the Kardashians and all that. Like, I actually admire them for taking advantage of this time period with their likeness and celebrity and all that stuff. So, no ill will, but it's always funny to me that these celebrities are activists about all these things, and then, when it kind of comes back on them because they're wearing a fur because they got more money than they know what to do with, and,
right.
and it's like, when it's convenient, they're an activist. When they want to wear something really bushy,
Isn't that the word though? Convenient. Like it's like when it works well for them is when they'll project whatever image message they're trying to get out there. But it's funny to
Like,
follow
when does she not get to do what she wants?
Yeah, exactly. What's new about that?
Yeah. I don't know, something about, like, the fur attacks feels very, like, 2002 to me.
Yeah.
Like, it makes me think of, like, 101 Dalmatians. Like, it's just, like, very old Peter. I'm imagining, like, someone in mom jeans throwing a, like, paint bucket of blood.
Yeah. But there was this one time I was in New York with my mom, and we were just like walking, New York City. We were just walking around the city. We were at this diner, and we heard like all this commotion outside, whatever. And there were a bunch of guys on bicycles just riding down Broadway. And my mom was like, oh, like what? Obviously it's New York. You're like, okay, what is it? Like, what's going on? Looked outside, but there 100 naked dudes riding bicycles going down the street. And I was young, and my mom was like, oh my gosh, dude, look. And she like covered my eyes. Meanwhile, like I was like, what was that? Like, what was that all about? She was like, those are PETA activists.
PETA activists.
They
Penis activists?
Exactly. But it's very funny. Anytime I see something that's like about that now, my mind immediately goes to that image of like those guys that were just like waving on the bicycles. Like,
That's very New York. It's not guys, flopping around on bikes. It's women, activists with their shirts off, like for breast cancer or something.
Right.
That's New
That
York.
was a whole TikTok trend for a while of what moment in New York what moment did you experience that made you decide it was time to leave New York? Or was this people telling stories of just the crazy stuff that they came across, and they're like, I don't need to be around this.
That's hilarious. I feel like you probably have stories like that, low key.
Yeah, there were some moments like it was you never knew like what was odd about New York City is like in some ways you would go weeks on end, it felt very normal.
Mm-hmm.
Like you can all get on the subway and go to work, and people are going to work, and there's the city stuff,
Right.
and then bam, Kristen from the vampire movies.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Is running down, almost runs me over in the middle of the road. What's her name? Kristen? Kristen Stewart. Almost runs me over. She's being chased by paparazzi. Right outside of my condo, and almost runs me over, like knocks me out. And I'm like, I'm a big dude. But she's running full force. And she was like, oh, I'm so sorry. She's like, I'm trying to get away from this camera. She was running from the camera guy in the middle of New York City. So, and that's what I'm saying. It's like, you just never know in New York City, number one, where a celebrity's going to be, but much less
That's hilarious.
Kristen Stewart running from, this was like in the middle of, the craze of those movies, and I'm sure Patterson was around somewhere,
Yeah.
but literally running, and the guy, the cameraman comes running, like running behind us.
Where'd you go? I don't know. It's your business. Like,
I don't know. There's bruise on my arm, though.
You take a picture?
Yeah. And I wasn't even into the franchise, but I recognized her. And I'm just like, all right. She's like, yeah, I'm like, where's your bodyguard? You got made enough money by now?
She's like, I just wanted to have the day off.
Yeah, but I had like countless stories in New York. Like it would seem normal forever, and then you get reminded by stuff like that. And
It's normal. Like,
no.
that's not the rest of the world normal. That's just
In
New York
Greenville, we
normal.
walk Styles is not going to run Josh over in the parking lot.
Yes, Harry, please don't run me over.
Yeah, at 25 minutes.
Please don't.
Yeah, exactly.
That would be awful.
Exactly. That's good. No, that's pretty much it for us today.
Right.
I feel like there's obviously lots of holiday stuff going on. By the time I think our next episode will release, it will be New Year. I think.
January. Will it be? We have open mic next week.
We'll have open mic next week, but I think it'll come out the day before New Year's. So this will
Almost 2021.
I know. We'll have one more episode before 2021. What was that joke?
We're going to have a cake and have, like the funeral of 2020 or something. We're burying it.
We do this funeral dancing gals to come on.
No. You need the joke you made the other day about 2020 turning 21 and able to drink.
Yeah,
So we need like a cake and like
I've seen too many games of like December 31st, 11:59 p.m. and then it turns to 11:60 p.m. and then it goes 11:61. And it's like,
people are like, oh.
I think we should do. We should start, and I love when we were like having production ideas live on the show, but that's okay. It's just real. It's what open mic is. If you watch
I just didn't get my notebook.
and I haven't watched it in a while because my linear TV is going away. But like Ryan and Kelly, which used to be Regis and Kathy, the morning show.
yeah.
They always produce the show. It's obviously recorded 4 days before, but they do the New Year's Eve. And like they're pretending like it's the day of. So maybe we need to do like a New Year's Day episode. And now, if you're listening and you hear both, you got to act like we really think it's New Year's Day. Because we've got to act like it's really we're doing the new because people are listening to it on the day of. And so we'll have like all the streamers and champagne.
Oh,
We really like champagne, so I think we'll have champagne on the next
we
episode.
could really be millennials and do orange juice too, and mimosas.
Isn't that a mimosa?
Yeah, basically have a mimosa bar.
Love some noodles with the boys.
Bloody Mary bar would be more my style, but like it's champagne's good. We'll get some good stuff in here.
Yeah.
Get some Dom Perignon or something. We got a few
Absolutely.
bottles of that in the cellar. We'll see.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see it goes wrong. Yeah, so that is it for us today, and you all will hear Ryan and I tomorrow on our news episode. So, we'll do a Christmas edition for that one,
Yep.
but yeah. So that's it for us.
All right, guys. We'll see you next time. Follow along at the Radcast.com. See you, Josh. See you, Reiley.
See ya.
See ya.